Good morning YouTube, my name is Yusuf and you are watching my news channel. Today I will do something different and talk exclusively about weather. This will be a weather video and I will look at current conditions and make actually a prediction for the coming weeks to come. So let's take a look first at the pressure globally. And I'm going to zoom in Europe. As you all know, Europe has been getting, and I know what I'm talking about since I live in Belgium over here, very cold weather. And if we look actually at the pressure map with the wind overlay, we see that cold air from the Arctic region goes straight into Europe. It goes via the UK, France, the North Sea, and even parts of Spain. This is what's causing all these anomalies. It pours in, and at the same time we see actually that these warm westerlies are diverted from Europe to the Arctic region over here. Another thing, a very important point of notice, is that high pressure system, which is enormous, which is literally sending hot air from the mid-latitudes straight to this region, straight to the Arctic basically. This is Archangelsk or something like that. And here in this region, I mean, it's like they are already having summer. And this reminds me of 2010, and I will come back to this because if this is a repeat of 2010, this is going to be very dire for Russia. I will explain this in a minute. Let's just take a look at the other metrics. So we have the situation in which cold Arctic air pours into Europe and warm air basically moves over West Russia all the way to the Arctic. Let's take a look at the 10 millibar wind map, and I'm going to put, yes, the wind currents. So if you look at the polar vortex, we see it again in the wrong position. It is centered just north of Western Russia, over here, above the, if I'm not mistaken, the Barents Sea. Yes, Kara Sea is over here, Barents is over here. I mean, literally on top of the Barents Sea, and it should be actually in the Arctic. So in my opinion, this is what's causing all this extreme weather, but not only this. There's something which I didn't really mention in previous videos, so I did it quickly. If you look at the currents this year, we have this situation where the Gulf Stream is weak. And this happens because of the ongoing solar minimum, and there is actually a cold anomaly. Let's just take a look at the temperature overlay. Oh yes, you have to put the surface. And we actually see this clearly, this whole blob of cold. Usually the Gulf Stream is a little bit closer to this region, but not this year. And this is actually a repeat of 2010, because then there was also a patch of cold water which displaced the Gulf Stream and weakened it. And it has been said in the news even that it was temporarily weakened. We have the exact same situation, and this was paired with wildfires over Russia, but I'll get to that in a moment. So we have this bizarre situation when we look at the surface temperature, when Europe is unseasonably cold, but Western Russia is literally having already its summer in the month of May, in the beginning of May. This is all because of the polar vortex. So let me just put that again. So 10 millibars, the wind. There we have it. So if you look, for example, at the southern hemisphere, it is exactly located on top of the polar region, and this is how it is supposed to be. So it's not the fact that it is not spinning fast, because this is not the issue. We are entering we are early in spring and going to summer, so obviously the polar vortex is going to weaken, but its position nonetheless is not supposed to be here. This is what's causing all the problems, along with the slowdown of the Gulf Stream. So let's move on to the actual, to try to look at the actual data, as I have mentioned in my previous video, but I will do it again because maybe some people didn't see them. This is not due to a sudden stratospheric warming. The erratic position of the polar vortex has another reason, which is open to speculation. We see, for example, the wind anomaly. This is, for example, a sudden stratospheric warming. You can clearly see the anomaly, but nothing over here. If you look at the temperature again, if there was one, it would be red all over the place of the entire cross-section until it reaches 30 millibars or so. When we look at the geopotential height, this is also clearly visible. When something like that happens, it happens at the top of the atmosphere and goes all the way down. This is not really the case here. As you can see, there is a positive geopotential height at the surface, but not in the middle, and a little bit on top, but nothing major. So definitely not a stratospheric warming. If you look at the Arctic oscillation, it hovers around neutrality, and this actually shows that the erratic jet stream at the 300 millibar is not due to the Arctic oscillation index, because otherwise you will see it negative to -5 or -6. It would be extremely negative. This is not really the case. In fact, it's almost going positive again. When we look at the temperature itself, we see clearly there is no warming whatsoever. This is the 10 millibar section of the atmosphere, and for example here, previous year, you can see actually there was a sudden stratospheric warming in the middle of March, and this is clearly visible, but not here. It went straight down, and then progressively the warming happens as it happens every year in increments. So how does this translate weather-wise? Because this is the most important thing. If you look actually at the temperature, and I'm going to put the anomaly, we see yet again that Europe is still, and I showed this when we look, actually I'm going to do this again, at the pressure and the wind overlay. This is easily visible. I'm going to zoom that in to show it and put this on the surface. When we put this, we see clearly air coming all the way from the Arctic to Europe, and this is, let me just put this next to the temperature map, is basically Arctic air pouring in via France, via the UK, the North Sea, Belgium, Netherlands. There's literally like a door open for all that cold air. It also pours in from this side because these warm westerlies, as we see, they are literally diverted over here. So some of them reach Spain, but then they go all the way southwards. Basically, the main inflow of air is cold, dry air from the Arctic region. And this means that in summer, we will have extreme weather. Because if I put, for example, the 250 millibars, and then I go to wind, we see that the jet stream is not wavy, it's almost horizontally, and it is way too close to the lower latitudes. This means all these low pressure systems gets a free pass, as you can see, into Europe. This means rainy weather, this means wind, this means storms, this means extreme weather, temperature swings, hail, you name it. In summer, this is going to be very nasty. Very unpleasant weather if this pattern continues. This can always change, of course, but in the current conditions, this doesn't look good for summer, this summer at least. If I go back, you can see that this pattern is predicted to be sustained, and the most noticeable thing is an extreme temperature difference between Europe and Western Russia. Western Russia is literally already having summer temperatures. If I put the temperature, and this is very important because I'm going to show you something that happened in 2010. This is identical, the same pattern as in 2010, and tell you why this is dangerous, especially for Russia. This is going to be bad for them. Basically, they are already having temperatures in the 30 degrees, as I see, and above, 30 and above. In fact, let's take a look. No, but this is, yes, this is prediction. It's even so, I wonder. There is actually a simulation, a temperature map that actually shows, yes, Fantasy Sky. Let's zoom that out. Let's zoom that out even more and just hover over it. So yeah, 28 degrees, 26, 27. Let me just go a little bit further. Let's just say when it's actually warmest. Yes, it's almost at 30 degrees. Let's go to the next. Up. Next days. See, already 30 degrees. And this is what day it is for the prediction. The 20th. I'm not sure if this actually goes into the 20th. So let's go even further. This is the 14th next. Oh, come on. 16. Oh, come on, there has to be. Oh, yes, of course. Silly me. Yes, 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 of course, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. See? 30 degrees all over the place. Because you might think I'm just telling you things. This would be the point. Yes, 31 degrees. And mind you, we are talking 32 degrees over here, 31 over here. So, while at the same time we have unseasonably cold temperatures over here. If I look at Belgium, 11 degrees. This sucks for us. I mean, they are already having the temperatures that we are supposed to have in June and July. So this shows you that this is not going to end well in this region if the temperature stays like this. And I will show you something now. In 2010, and this was all over the news because they couldn't hide it anymore. I mean, it was so bad. Russian wildfires were several hundred wildfires that broke across Russia, primarily in the west. In summer of 2010, they started burning in late July, which is normal because this is only May. You have to imagine, if I put the temperature again, that in June and especially in the beginning of July, this is going to be extremely bad. Then we are not going to see 30, 31 or 32 degrees. We are going to have 35, 36. I mean, this is going to be nasty heat waves over western part of Russia. And in 2010, so the fires cost roughly 50 billion in damages. I want to stress out, I'm not scaring the Russian people. This will only happen if the current conditions persist. So we will have to see, this can change and weather could normalize. But if it stays like this pattern, then we will have a repeat of this. Crop failures, drought, forest fires. And it will be biblical this time, and I will show you why. Back then in 2010, and this is why it came actually in the news, 56,000 people died from the effects of the smog and the heat wave, which is normal because this part of the world is not accustomed to these temperatures. And when they go even higher, when it becomes tropical heat, the forests there will simply light up like a match. No doubt about it. So this is an analysis of 2010, and back then it was clear that a blocked jet stream pattern, which has the exact same shape of this. So basically this shape over here is the exact same as in 2010 from the jet stream. It made a bulge which kept a high pressure system was blocked, and it kept sending this hot air. And if I go back actually to here, you can actually see it, but it is best visible when you actually put the pressure overlay, because here you can clearly see it's massive. It's even bigger than in 2010, and it is already oh yes, this is the 200. I have to put the surface. Yes, this is it. As you can see, it's massive in size, stretches from almost the Middle East to the Arctic, and this sends hot air straight to this northern western palm of Russia, and it's basically a blocked high pressure system which will persist. Again, I don't want to scare the Russians if they are watching, but currently we are in that same setup, in that same weather setup, and this doesn't look good. I certainly hope that this changes. And as you can see, it's all because you see strong vortex, fast winds, slow winds, weak polar vortex, but this time it's not only weak, but it's also in the wrong region. And this is again, so we see that this is the cause, and it is still there. It doesn't budge. It is weak, very weak, the winds of the polar vortex, and it lies above the Barents Sea, just in that region that we are talking about. This is Arkhangelsk in northern Russia, and this is what's causing all these problems. This is what is affecting this part of the jet stream at 250 millibars. So there you have it. I will make other videos to see if this current pattern persists, and if it does, I will definitely warn the people that are watching, if especially if you know any Russian people, to send the word out, because this is going to be bad for them. They're going to have drought, they're going to have lots of wildfires, and people are going to die if this stays like this. So now our next topic is the sea ice. I wanted to bring this up because this year the sea ice is actually lower than usual, and this melting season is going to be interesting. Let me just zoom that out, because it actually zoomed in previously. Okay, this is the right size. So I will leave a link below. This is actually I wanted to show this, the Arctic sea ice news and analysis, and this year I will put the map. You see that the ice is already low. Conditions are very conducive for the melting season. It's going to be accelerated, in part, of course, because of the weak polar vortex, which sounds, and I will show it to you. If I put the anomaly, you will see that all along the prediction, the Arctic always shows positive anomalies. And I do think this year there might be low pressure systems entering the Arctic, because if we look again, the jet stream is all messed up over the Arctic. This means that low pressure systems will intrude in the Arctic, and if a storm is formed, like in 2012, the export of ice will increase over the Fram Strait over here in the Greenland Sea. And this will greatly accelerate the melt, which is already accelerated because of very thin ice and weak ice. So it's not only thin, but also Yes, very young. So normally when you have old ice, which is 5-year-olds, it tends to have a difficulty to melt. It doesn't melt easily. But this year's ice is not only... Let me just put the map actually. Let me zoom that out. So before I do that, this is actually, again, the anomaly is still there. I was going to show this anyway. So in the middle of the Arctic, and mind you that if you actually look at this, here they don't show it. Probably deemed that you don't need to know this. And this is actually made by other satellites, so other tools to measure this. But you see, most of the official news outlets will simply edit it out of their maps. So apparently you're not supposed to know this, simply because they don't have an explanation to give you. I mean, what would people think if they suddenly have to admit that the Earth is hollow, or that the inner sun is actually sending currents to melt the ice over here? So obviously they're not gonna tell you. If I zoom this out a little bit, and I just do this, yes, this is perfect. This year's ice is very thin. There is barely... For example, when we look at the 3-meter ice, it's really concentrated over Greenland and northwards of Canada, but there is very little of it. And if we go even higher, the 5-meter ice pack, it's literally non-existent. This will all melt anyway in the melting season, and even here this will completely disappear. So the ice is going to melt easily with current conditions. But also because, strangely enough, and I will zoom this in, around that anomaly, and I have showed this already, the ice is fractured. And it actually starts from that anomaly and spreads all the way to here. It is barely visible, so it's not much, but if it happens that this grows even further, this will have an impact on the melting season. But currently, as it is, the impact is very little. So we have just to monitor this to see if it actually gets worse or not. Okay, this is the end of the video. I hope that you actually enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you feel up to it, why not hit the like button? Don't forget to turn on the notifications, or you will miss any future content that I made. I apologize for the lengthy time of the video, but when it comes to making a weather video, there are certain things that you just can't skip. I wanted to bring this out from that 2010 in Russia, and this made the video a little bit lengthy. I will leave links below of that 2010 analysis from NOAA, but also from the Sea Ice News and Analysis, so you can read it at your leisure. And regularly I will make weather videos and tell you actually whether this current strange weather pattern over Russia is going to change or not. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I guess we see each other next time. Take care, everyone. Bye bye. Oh yes, before I leave, the philosophical quote. Why not? 37, 38, yes, 39. One who loves will be loved by others. One who hates will be hated by others. So basically you get what you spread yourself. If you hate others, you will be hated by others. If you love others, you will be loved by others. Plain and simple. That's it, people. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and I guess we see each other next time. Bye bye.